are y'all out on this cold night? Go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Stand as there is an invocation.
Heavenly Father, how grateful we are for your love and grace, and we thank you, Lord, for your the opportunities you give us to serve. And we would ask, Lord, anything that we do here for the city that might be done in accordance to your will and for the benefit of the citizens of Howe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
How about requests? Do we have any changes? Departmental report, the administrator discussed the seminar and impact fees and bed on steam, discussed the well generator, traffic control on Highway 5, and reports.
On January 29th, Don Pascal, do y'all remember him? He's the guy doing the ramrod on the water line. And I don't remember the guy's name that's doing the seminar. It costs a whole lot for this guy doing. He's doing one for free, and then also for us, and Melissa, and Dan. And they would like to have as many council members and PNZ members as can go. It's going to be from 2 to 5. And then we'll have a meeting afterwards, and I'm sure you'll be more welcome to stay at that too, over the water line. But what I need is I need some definite answers. If we're going to go, and we have a quorum, we have to post an agenda for a work session in May. But I'll need that by Wednesday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday, so we can go ahead and get it posted. This is where we're going. And plus, they like to have a head count too. I know I've got one. P&Z said he'd like to go.
What day of the week is this?
I think that's on a Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh. What time?
It's from 2 to 5. And it should be real good. The impact fees are not real easy to understand. This guy's coming in is a very, very well-knowledgeable guy. And Jerry Chapman from DTUA highly recommend it. We get as many as can. Me and Barbara, and I believe the mayor's going. Sure. Sure. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. We'll just, like I say, I need to get definite head count so we can't post it as an agenda.
Yeah, we need to go by Monday, first thing tomorrow.
And like I say, I'll be taking probably the city car and stuff too, but if you don't want to hang around for me afterwards, you might not drive. It's going to be at the community center by the fire station. So it should be pretty interesting. The other, I think Sam, you're the one on the council when we talked during the ice storm when we talked about a generator. I'm going to start looking at that again too. Of course, it's kind of like car insurance, it's useless until you need it. But I'd like to look at doing that, and I've been talking with Jerry Chapman. Maybe we can work a deal where we can add that in with a big tire and stuff, and get it in that way. But I just wanted to put that back in my mind to think about that.
That'll be for emergency uses.
Yeah, that'll be if we lose all electricity within 2 minutes. That thing will kick on and run at least a big well or the new tire with the new water line, depending on which way we go with it. But we may be without lights and heat, but we'll have water. 31 out of 3 is not bad. I had to deal with the highway department. I think y'all got the letter. I think it's right behind the agenda. What I tried to do is I tried to talk the highway department into letting us purchase, install, and maintain a blinking traffic light at this intersection here of Highway 5 and Henny. And they said no. So I don't know what else to do about that intersection. Everything I've approached them with is nothing's happened. Also out here on 902 and Ponderosa and Hanny Street. Roy brought me the reports in. There's was there 20, Roy? 22?
22, yeah.
Accidents since 99 at that intersection. And at first I wanted cross traffic does not stop, but on the stop signs on 902 and Ponderosa. They came back, well, it looks like we'll get 4-way stops out there. And then the next day I get the letter saying we're not getting that either. So they did agree to put the cross traffic does not stop. So that's that's something anyway. But I don't know if y'all get I get a lot of questions about that, especially at the intersection out by the high school, and that's virtually I think all they're going to do. I just want to let y'all know about that.
The blinking light, they didn't want to do that because of there's traffic study?
There hasn't been enough fatalities there to warrant it, right?
That's it.
Okay.
And like I say, that's kind of a touchy subject. I didn't get any reason why we could not pay to put one up, but they said no. And, I hadn't even called them back about it. I'll be honest with you. I decided I'd report it to y'all what happened. And then on the 27th, which is next Monday, we hired a new court and city clerk, and it's Tammy, I don't know what's her name, Grisolia. Tammy is working at school now. She's a fantastic interviewer. References were just phenomenal. I mean, I think she's going to be a valued addition to the staff here at City Hall. I think everybody felt really good about her. I think she's going to be real good. And she's a local girl. She's a good man.
Thanks, Steve. Move on to new business. Consider the consent items which marked by the asterisk, the financial statement, the December 12th meeting minutes, municipal court report, and police department reports.
Motion to accept.
Sam?
Second.
Thomas? Any discussion? All in favor? 4-4, none against. Consider approved resolution from the CAB board in support of the CAB's legislative agenda. Steve, you want to touch on that?
Yeah. What it is, CAF is wanting us to show more support by passing this resolution and send it to our state representative. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the billing process streamlined. Ours is still not right. We're one of the lucky ones. Ours is not just really bad. There's a lot of places, and of course this is one of the biggest coalitions in the state of Texas, is this CAF that we belong to. And it's not just the people we got electricity with, it's all of them. They're all having tremendous trouble with the billing process, and they're trying to get the state to step in. Let's get this fixed. Also, getting a more efficient process of getting service. Out there where I live, I've seen them take 3 months to pull a disconnected depot so they can move it out. Basically, we get told when they call in for a meter, it can be anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks. And a lot of times I don't think it's been so bad recently, but a lot of times when we call in inspections and stuff, they'll lose it in the process and claim we've never called them, which we make notes and so we got proof. And fair market issues, they feel like some of the smaller producers are kind of being muscled out, and they're wanting to open it up to make it more fair to all producers and all consumers involved in it. That's with everybody. So that's the gist of what the resolution's for.
It would give CAP the authority to go in on our behalf as a city, where Steve Rye would have to go down to office and try to present it to the legislature.
Yeah, they're basically becoming a lobby.
I recommend we support this resolution to CAP and have them act on behalf of the city of Howe.
Make a motion. Second.
Sam, any further discussion?
Now, this is also in behalf of the citizens as well.
Yeah, it's going to be twofold. It's not just, they're going to try to make it come in where, being Jerry had electric company and Maple Street wanted to get them, they can come in and fairly good. I mean, it's going to affect the whole
Right now,
deregulation
it's not really
process.
practical, is it, for an individual?
No, well, I mean, it wouldn't be working for them to even try.
All four? All four, very good. We need to discuss the property located at 117 East Fanning, it is the old police station across the street. You start getting in your mind what we want to do with it, if we want to do anything with it. OB, do you want to address the council on this tonight?
They could.
Okay,
We talk to you.
go ahead.
Okay.
Well, what I was interested in is the building across the street. If you're gonna sell it, I'd be interested in it. I don't know what you plan on doing with it. But I also had some people to come to me and ask why don't you sell city and let them build a city hall. So I thought maybe that might be something y'all might look into. You might be interested in, it might not be interested in at all. Is taking the two buildings in and putting them together and making the city hall. The best I can figure, it's probably about 46 or 8 foot wide inside with the two buildings, and then the lots are 115 foot deep, but you can't go to 115, but even if you went 100 foot deep, that's a pretty good sized building. And you can shorten it from that, you know. And I don't know, I thought it, you know, if you're interested, it'd be a good place for City Hall. You have plenty of room for your council meetings, storage, and so just kind of throw that at you to see what y'all are interested in doing, if you're interested at all, or, you know, just.
Toby, if you were able to buy the building that we have, what are your plans for your own buildings?
If I bought it, I'd tear the center wall out and make one building out of it. Tear the center wall out, and you get a brick across the back.
Do you think the buildings are salvageable?
Sir?
Do you think the buildings are salvageable?
Oh, yes.
Would it be the same sort of thing you did with the ducks up there?
Just go in there and take the center wall out of it and pull the rest of it down, and go in there and pour it the concrete slab and put a metal roof on it, like we did down there.
What kind of timeline do you think it might take you? 6 months, a year, 2 years?
Hard what y'all do.
Well, I mean, if you did buy it tomorrow, would it take you, I mean, is this something you're thinking about doing 5 years from now, or pretty quick once if you were to take possession?
Have we thought at all anything about appraisal on that?
The whole thing is, I mean, we couldn't outright sell it to OB, we'd have to put it up for bid.
Oh, no, I understand.
No, we haven't, I haven't.
But we need to know about what the appraised value is. I think we ought to do that as a first step anyway.
I think you have to do that to start with before you can even take bids. You know, we did park in there and get it priced.
Those are some of the things we need to start thinking about as we go moving forward with what we want to do with that building across the street. You know, do we want to put it up for bid? Do we want to try to fix it and salvage it? You know.
The thing that you might want to do is the communications that goes out about the city. I'm not sure where you put that in there.
It goes out to the administrator.
City administrator. You might put in there and ask for suggestions.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you review what happened in the city and what's coming up, you might want to just put in there the fact that we have that property and that we're going to have to do something with it, and that if anybody has any suggestions, you know, there might be some other suggestions other than City Hall or, you know, something. Obviously, one suggestion would be to sell it to an interested buyer. That would be one. But then there's somebody who would create it.
I think we all agree something needs to be done with it, so.
You don't think y'all be interested in building a new city hall over there?
I wouldn't think immediately. Of course, we hadn't thought about it before.
I think everybody's thought about probably, like James says, not immediately, but
Right.
you know, one of these days it's going to have to happen. And whether it happens next year or 10 years down the road, it's going to have to happen. We're going to have to catch up with the police department. But no, you know.
But you have to plan, you know, you have to plan either, everything didn't just happen, but, you know, I saw that, see if you're interested in all, you know, building a city hall. You're gonna need more room, you know, town grows in it all, we're going to have more room.
Do you have a figure in mind that you want to put up to?
Sir,
Do you have a figure in mind that you would want for your property?
for mine, I'd take 10,000. Might be negotiable. You know, if you're interested in doing that, because, you know, of course, that would help me, you know, on the other buildings. And, you know, I want to see downtown house stay alive. That's what I spent a few $100,000 down there trying to do, you know.
Well, we appreciate the things you've done so far.
I'm sure you do. You see my tax statement. I'm sure you do.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, okay? But, no, we do appreciate, well, it brings revenue in to the city
Yeah.
with their retail stuff.
You know, and even if you're not, what I would like for you to do is take an interest in downtown trying to do something, you know. You know, get out there and spend $8 or $10 on a few bags of sack creek patching sidewalk, you know, it's good and it needs it. But I'd like to see the city take it. You know, we've talked about it and everybody said, well, you know, they like for business people to take a little interest, but, you know, the city needs to do something. You know, you can't, you gotta do something, you know, that kind of get people interested. Of course, well, all of us know for years, everybody said, well, nobody trading how they go to Sherman home. But that's not necessarily true. And the people up in the city of Howe, y'all know well as I do, we're having a turnover of people. You know, used to, we knew everybody, you know, everybody knew everybody, you know, it's, you don't know half the people. You know, this thing about trading outside of town, if you encourage that, if you talk about it, you encourage it. You know, if you talk about something negative long enough, then the people's going to have negative attitude. How good about it. So, same thing about our town. If we don't try to build it up, it's not anything going to happen. There's about Austin in the church. We don't want to be a suburb either.
It's true.
Those are some things that, thank you, okay. Those are some things that we need to keep in mind. We might have a work session or something further on this. We'll schedule at a later time. Let's go on to discuss the proposed inspection permit fees. Steve doesn't think we're charging quite enough for permit fees.
Well, taking what Sam said, I think we ought to move ahead a little bit. Started working on this a couple of weeks ago. It's back in y'all's deal. I've got the, what we charge now. Of course, all this is at the lawyer right now getting looked at. I just want y'all to look at it. You can kind of compare the two sheets. The second one, the revised, is the one that me and Bart kind of wrote up and worked on. Right now, I think from 65,000 down, or actually from 100,000, or 60-something thousand down, we're not even paying for the inspector to do all the inspection fees. I did some checking. We had a contract inspection crew come in, and they led on to about what's called the Uniform Building Code. The international code did not have a set of fees that come with it like the Southern Building Code did. And I talked to Van Alstine and Pottsburg, which they got Pottsburg copy Van Alstine's verbatim. These hadn't been touched since '91. What I did, I went up very minimal on all of them. I went up to $20 per inspection since we got a certified inspector now. Changed, like some of the movement of the structures, I put a time limit on demolition on commercial and residential. If you take an $85,000 house, our old fee permits would be $400. The uniform building code fee would be $888.75. I didn't really want to jump up that high. Van Alstine and Pottsburg starts at $600, and then to a certain footage, and then it goes up. And And the way I got it figured out, our new permit fee for $85,000 house will be $485. And I've talked with Noe a little bit about it. Noe seemed to think that was a fair price to start moving it up a little bit. But like I say, I've got all the amendments and the ordinances with James right now, and they're looking at it just to make sure everything looks good to go. And I just want y'all to look at it tonight and see if y'all have any suggestions or advice.
On the times and the demolitions, those are only for clearance. I think you and I talked before about general remodeling, whether it's commercial or residential.
Well, I didn't really put on remodeling. On just demolition. That's take the building across the street. We buy it from OB and we decide to tear it down. We have 180 days from the start to get the lot cleared. That's 6 months. And on a house, I gave it 120 days, just kind of make it, rain days and stuff like that. On commercial, on remodeling, I really didn't know how to fit in a time frame on, how long it's supposed to take for you to remodel your kitchen.
Well, I'm mainly speaking of externally. Like the departments down here.
Oh, yeah.
In particular, they've been going
Yeah,
on.
I could tool something in that on top. If you're doing outside work or something, I'm sure I could put something in.
I just think there needs to be some type of time limit for, whatever construction or remodeling that they're doing.
So on those remodeling things, do they have to come in with a permit?
It kind of depends on what you're doing. Not if you go in there and replace. Well, see, another thing, we haven't been doing sheetrock inspections, and we need to. As a matter of fact, we've already started doing them too. We're fitting them in an old pay, but we've started incorporating that into the new one.
Well, sheetrock inspection, I don't understand what that.
You're supposed to have. No, you may have to help me on the deal. If you nail the sheetrock up, you got to have at least 5 nails in the field.
Yes,
Right?
it's got to be spaced so many inches apart.
And that way, that is for
That's for new instructors.
well, actually, I would think if you're doing your own sheetrock and you don't want to put the right amount of nails in your own house,
You don't have problems with it?
yeah, it's going to be your own fault. Yeah, definitely on new construction we're doing it. There's some things on remodeling that no, we don't. You don't have to come in. Electricity, water lines, that type of stuff. Yeah, you got to. But instead of, I think the old way, like if you wanted to build a room on the back of your house, it's going to cost $30,000. Instead of going through the permit fee schedule, that's going to cost you $25 for the permit and then whatever inspection you need to build it. Like I said, what I try to do is I try to go through here and even everything up, make everything as fair as I feel possible.
The only inspections there would be what, electricity?
Well, it depends on what you put in. If you put a bathroom in, you'd have to have the plumbing. If you ran new electrical, of course, if you ever get your meter pulled, you have to have all your electrical inspected. You won't put your meter, or Encore won't put the meter back until it is inspected by the city. And I just like to say, this has been a place over 10 years, and I thought, well, I'd look at updating it a little bit.
I'm not so sure we need to get a remodeling permit.
Well, it's like I say, it's really on the remodeling. Let me find it. Actually, it's like, okay, the way I wrote it up, it's addition to buildings, house, and like I say, depends on what the remodeling is. Like I say, because like I say, the inspection, we do the inspections. We make sure it's getting done right. Whether, you're doing it or you're hiring somebody to do it, make sure you're getting a good job.
Well, if I went out there and wanted to get all the fascia board placed.
No.
It's just major remodeling.
I'm talking about something massive. No, if you want, that's like most every other town's charge for roofing. I can't see charging a permit fee to get your roof replaced. And so and we didn't have it anyway, so I didn't add that in. No, I'm talking about, this is all major stuff. And like I say, if you're going to build a 30 by 40 shop, instead of going through the house permit fee, it's going to cost you 25 plus whatever inspections. And like I say, all your standard inspections will be $20.
Fencing through me, if you put a fence up, you're required to get a building permit and
Well, no, fencing, you're required to get a site. inspection. And we've done that all along since I've been. That's just to make, that's just to make sure. Some fences, we don't catch everything. Most of them we do. But that's just to make sure you know, you don't get, you make sure you know where your lines are and the property line is. You got the setbacks, like you don't sink all your corner posts in on top of the water line or something to that effect.
But that's on the new fencing. You can replace it.
Oh, no, if you tear a fence down, you replace it's good to go. You don't have to do anything, yeah. If you replace a fence, no, you don't have to get a new one. And like I say, I just wanted to bring that up and let y'all look at it.
Is there a penalty for people who do not get the permits?
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Ordinance violation.
yeah, it can go that way. Usually what we do is we double up all the payments that they have to pay.
Sounds fair to me.
We really have never had any trouble with people not, I mean, they may start and go talk to them, they come and give, we really not had any trouble with people giving them. Well, we had one, but that was all resolved and took care of.
So you got it with the lawyers?
Yeah, it's with James right now, and he's taking care of it. I was gonna just bring it up, and I thought we could do it, but I want to make sure we got everything. Because like I say, I think the growth has started in this water a little bit more than it is. So. Like I said, I didn't want to jump up and go overboard with the price and run everybody off either at first. I mean, I want to be fair about it.
Anything else on this? Now, you want to discuss the subdivision ordinance amendment concerning the length of time before property is
Sure.
developed?
And I just came up with this. I don't have anything in writing, and I apologize for that. What I'm working on that right now, just something I just want y'all to think about it. It's like Pioneer Valley. That subdivision was passed, I believe, in '96, and it lay dormant until 2001, I believe. And what I've got working right now, and I've talked to the planners, and I've mentioned to James, I don't have it in full works yet. But on our permits, if you get a permit, it's only good for 6 months. So what I want to do with this, I'm going to try to change it where if the day that come in here and the subdivision ordinance passes, everything's good to go, and he's ready to start building. Now, this is just in the city limits. If he doesn't start work within 6 months, he has to come back before the council for review, you know, what's going on, and, you know, just to keep up on what's going on, because like I say, I don't think anybody was on the council or anything when the Pioneer Valley one was passed, and then it kicked back off, and that's been a tough subdivision to keep up with. And then there's also going to be a length of time on it, that if he starts within the 6 months from the day he starts, you got 12 months to complete the work, and if you don't complete the work, and it's not going to cost, then you have to come back to review again. And basically the way I've got it working on is you'll get a couple of chances for coming back to review, and if you just refuse to go, your stuff's full. I mean, you have to come back to replat in 1 yard. The subdivision is out, basically, until he comes back. And that way, I feel like we can keep a better toehold on what's going on, and if stuff changes, we can know about it quicker. And if something happens, if, you know, 3 of y'all decide not to run for council, and we got 3 new ones this way, they'll kind of be abreast of what's going on if it takes an extra long time to do it. And like I said, that way, we shouldn't go but every 6 months or so without knowing what's going on and what if they're having trouble or that fact. And I'm also I've got with the planner today, and we haven't quite figured everything out, but we're also talking about amending it where maybe your lots, before permits are issued, the lots have to be graded to a certain degree where the water drains. You know, like in my house, it could drain to the creek or to the street. And that way, when the rains and water runs off, everything goes where it's supposed to. And, you know, if you get started building, you don't get your lot graded off the time it rains, it'll go over, you know, on your neighbors or something to that effect. And like I said, I haven't got that one completely figured out yet, but that's what I'm working on now.
And you're working on this with Tim Glendon, right?
Yeah, Tim, and like I say, I mentioned it to James, he hasn't got, I don't have any information to him yet in writing or anything, but I probably will next week.
Next item is to consider renewal of the community center note. The balance on that is $67.48.76. That's $6,740.76. So yeah, we have it in the budget. Yeah. I recommend that we do renew this note. Sam? Thomas? Any further discussion? All four? 4, none against. Consider appointment of Chris Underwood, Reserve Police Officer. Chief Keegan.
Yeah. Chris is one of our gentlemen who lives here in town, currently attending Grayson College. He works at one of the restaurants downtown Sherman. He graduated from Police Academy this last December, and he desperately wants to become a Howe police officer. And normally, I don't normally hire or take on reserves that we don't have at least some kind of training. But in his case, I think we'll be okay. We're in a position now that we can train reserves a lot easier because all our people are pretty well trained now. So I'd like to take him on, see how he works out for us.
Do I have a motion to do this? Any further discussion?
How many reserves do you normally keep?
Well, at one time we had as many as 6. Then we had 4, 3, 2, 1. A lot of it, from what I can see, a lot of it depends on the economy. You know, if the job market is real heavy and people are really working, a lot of them have extra free time that they can reserve. But when layoffs and all that kind of people have to work 2 and 3 jobs. So that's kind of like when your reserves become less and less, and that's kind of what we're in right now. Is right now without Chris, we have no reserves. So, but I've always managed to generally keep at least a couple free. But here lately, since the economy's gotten so bad, it's been real tough. Chris is young; he wants to start out, so this is a good chance for him to get started and get some good training, and let's pick up a good reserve.
Any further discussion? Consider or approve the removal of Dana Nixon, Ray Houston, Burley Bond, and Ray Bledsoe from the signature card for the safety deposit box number 416 at Independent Bank House. I recommend we do. Thomas? Any discussion? All 4? 4, none against. Next item is to consider or approve the addition of Diane Walsh, Stephen McKay, and Barbara Alvarado to the signature card for the safety deposit box number 416 at Independent Bank House, Texas. Thomas? Any further discussion? All 4? 4, none against. Presentation of the 2001-2002 audit grading company. Mr. Gray.
Giving you the draft, at least Steve and Barbara. I don't believe y'all have seen the draft. I did notice that this is the first year I've seen the white table. I assume that when you're in bad, you don't get to sit up here. You have to sit at the white table. So.
No, I need more room to spread out.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, that's even better. Let me go over some of the points with you. Howe is a very financially sound city. It's one of the most sound financially cities that we audit. The net worth on page 4 shows that it has grown from $4.4 million to $4.5 million, which is a real healthy sign when your fund balance grows. It shows that your net worth is growing and your bottom line is growing. On page 5, you'll see the governmental funds, which is the General, the Community Development Corporation, and the Collins Trust. The excess of revenues over expenditures in the general fund was $24,000, and you had an operating transfer in from the water fund of $40,000, giving you a net in excess revenues and other financial sources of $64,000. That's real healthy. It gives you the opportunity to do some other things that you might want to do later, whether it's a city hall or fixing streets or something like that. Many cities don't have resources to do that, but you all do, and that's very healthy. On page 7, you'll see the utility fund. Utility fund net income before transfers was $159,000 for the year. The transfers out to the general fund were $40,000, giving you a net income of $119,000. there again, that's very healthy. It's going to provide you resources when your city grows and when you have new subdivisions. It's going to provide resources for that. The rest of it's pretty much boilerplate. We do not have a manager recommendation letter this year. I'm real pleased with that. Donna has done a very good job. Unfortunately, she's now going to transfer the gavel, I guess, to Barbara. Now, Barbara, now I get to look over your shoulder a little bit more now. But that's the audit report. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I realize that y'all haven't seen this before, but if you do have some questions either now or later, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for me right now? Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to our public hearing now. Consider request from Kathleen Todd to rezone 500 South Denny, located in the WD Orange Farmer Edition, Block 3, Lots 1 and 2, from Single Family 1 to Commercial 2. Proposed use was the art gallery and portrait studio. Is there anybody here signed up who wants to address that? Okay. Second thing is to consider the request from Noe Lopez for the replat of the 801 North Denny located in the WM Park Survey Lot 27. Noe, would you like to address us on this tonight?
Sure.
Okay.
I think you'll have a copy of the survey, preliminary survey. What I did about a year ago, I purchased that property there at 801 Denny, and that happens to be on an oversized lot. Now, what I'm proposing is making 3 lots out of that property and facing towards Long, as opposed to the way the lot is facing right now towards Highway 5.
Is everybody aware of what he's talking about?
What?
You have the one that's on Joe's house, Long Street's right here, the yellow house. The old Arlene.
Yeah, that's that house up there for about 4 years.
Will it be moved, or will it?
No, see, that house fits right in the, I got lucky on that deal there. It fit right in there. I didn't know what was going to happen whenever I had a survey. It just happened to fall right in place.
But you're going to have the driveways coming in off the
Yes,
Long Street.
everything will be, everything will be swapped on over.
That's a very big front
big lot.
front lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's got.
the biggest lot on that subdivision.
That falls perfect in SFP. I said it falls perfectly in SFP, the single family to lot dimension.
Scotty, sing it.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Is there any questions for Noah? We will end the public hearing now. On the recommendation for the Todd's resident, it was planning and zoning, that request was denied by the planning and zoning board due to the recent replatting of going through this, trying to keep the commercial off of Highway 5, that it is a single family usage, because if something happens to that art gallery and portrait studio, with that C2, they could turn the art gallery studio into whatever falls under the C2 business. So it was P&Z's recommendation to deny the request to rezone. I recommend we go with planning and zoning's recommendation. Sam, any further discussion? All four? All four, I guess. And on the recommendation for Mr. Lopez's replat, they did approve him to replat his property. It did fall within the guidelines of a single family 2 with the lot sizes where he could build 2 more houses, and we would have 2 more sewer taps, and that would put 2 more houses on our tax roll, 3 more sewer taps, and that's going to put 2 more houses on our tax roll. So it's going to be an increase in money for the city. Okay. Thomas, any further discussion? All four? 4 for 1, I guess. No, we're going to go into executive session here in a minute, and we can find it for you before you leave anything.
Okay.
Executive session, the city council will convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of the open meeting law, chapter 551, government code, Burns, Texas Code annotated in accordance with the authority contained in section 551.072 and 551.074. to consider acquisition of property and to consider the resignation of Jamie Thomas from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Move it.
Sam, Tom? All four? 4 for, none against. It is 6:45, and we are now in executive session. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is I need you to leave. And it shouldn't take very long. Y'all can wait outside.
You're probably
Appreciate y'all letting us do the day.
Oh, thank you, anytime.
Nothing but.
Y'all were great.
We take no action at this point.
Second.
Further discussion? All four? 4 for, none against. Consider the resignation of Jamie Thomas to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion we accept.
Second. I think Scotty seconded that. Please.
Any further discussion? All four? 4 for, none against. Those on P and Z, we need to have a recommendation next month, would be nice. American Communication, the ambulance charges, the county kind of overlooked sending us the bills for last year. We received a bill for $10,434, which we paid, but I just want to make y'all aware that happened.
You know, obviously the county didn't inform us, right? It did send a bill.
Correct.
We know we got to pay that?
Yes.
Okay, you know, I'd put that as a particular fund or something like that. But hey, it's coming. Write a check.
Yeah.
Even though you
Well,
might not
we've
have it.
already written a check. But it was for last year's service. It was for,
Right through the middle of September.
Through the first.
Prior to the Van Alstine
It
thing.
has been all been started October 1st.
right, right. So, but that we'll have to do a budget amendment before the fourth quarter to make up for that ambulance fee. But it was for, June, July, August, and then all of September. And that's all I have. If there's nothing further, do I have a motion to adjourn? Comments?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All four? 4 for, yes. We are adjourned. Thank you.